Myself while other people, I'm going to introduce myself while other people log in. So I'm going to start off by introducing myself. My name is Julissa Amaro. I have been in real estate for 15 years. Specifically, I believe it's 5 years with Keller Williams. So I actually started off in real estate by just doing administrative office work. I was an admin manager, and then I moved up to becoming an office manager in my previous firm. And then I got my broker's license, and then I became basically the office manager. So I used to be, my joke is I used to be like Stephanie and Aaron and Lori combined. And, a lot of people was just one person. It was a small mom and pop boutique kind of style thing. So there's a lot of things that I understand from the bottom of the ladder, let's call it. With the aspect of compliance, it's really big, management itself, and all the other beautiful things about making sure that all of the agents are happy with the results and the turnaround and dealing with the sign man. But anyways, I moved on to deciding one day that I wanted to be a full-time real estate agent, not just a part-timer with a 9 to 5 on the side. And that was for the purpose of being able to have flexibility for my family that was growing at that time. It has actually been the best decision ever. I was really, really nervous. And I will tell you that there was a period of about 9 months where I was working real estate full-time and my regular 9 to 5 job full-time. So I really was holding 2 full-time jobs to overlap because I was very nervous as someone who had never had an unsteady income. Let's say I came from a background where if you did not have a salary, you couldn't survive. Like there was no hope that you could survive. So I didn't have any encouragement from my family. If anything, my family was very, very nervous that I was going into this that way. So there's just a little bit of my background. I'm a very humble and naive person in many ways, but I'm here to help all of you. I'm happy to help anyone. And if you have any questions in between, do stop me and just ask or give your 2 cents or whatever it might be. So I do welcome questions. Okay. So far I see we've got Erica, Joseph, and then Lucas, Eugenio, I'm going to say. If I said it wrong, please correct me. And then we've got Kiara, Danielle, and John.
And we have the Hudson Valley United training room. I'm not sure who's in there, but we've got a group coming from Middletown.
No problem. Shout out to the other office. Pretty cool. Okay, so does anyone want to do like a quick introduction of themselves? If you want to take over the mic real quick. I see Stephanie and Aaron from the office are on. Okay, this does not seem to be a very chatty group already. So I'm going to dive right into our class today. Today's class is Capture Leads with Social Media. I'm going to go into my notes while Aaron actually does do the slide. Thank you for doing that, by the way, Aaron. That's very helpful. That way I don't have to look at 2 different things at the same time. So
if I don't move at your speed, just tell me go.
No worries. Okay, so this is session 8. You guys have been, most of you who are on are either selectively choosing the topics of where you participate, or you have been doing all of them. If you're a new agent, I'd like to say welcome. I am an ALC chairwoman for diversity and equity in the New City office. I'd love to see some participation or someone who'd be a little interested in also picking my brain or becoming part of someone who can help diversify the office more and implement other things that we may not already be doing. I do welcome that. But session 8 is what we're going to focus on today. We're going to be covering how to capture leads using social media. We're going to review by now you should be doing the 10-5-1 engagement for already a while. And we're going to go over the 80-20 principle. We're going to look at some other strategies that are going to employ on social media. Does anyone have, since most of you have been participating in other classes for Ignite, I just want to take a moment to stop and ask you if any of you have any questions about your previous class that you may have taken, if you had any ahas that you want to share, or if you're stuck on something right now before we proceed. I'm going to hand the mic to whoever wants to ask anything. No questions? Everyone's okay with their 10-5-1? Accountability is good. Does anyone need an accountability partner? Is everything working out? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and proceed. So we're going to, by the end of the session, we're going to be able to employ the 10-5-1 engagement system to connect with your network. We're going to explain the importance of limiting your social media posts to 20% of your business content and to identify social media engagement strategies that will add value to the people in your network. I am on page 9. This class does require some participation, whether or not you're on Zoom. So unfortunately, I'm going to start picking on people because that's what I'm supposed to do if you don't participate. So I just want to give you the heads up. I'm supposed to split you guys into basically groups, or you guys can just share some answers in between the questions, but just listen to hear if any of these questions, like if you know the answer to them, or if you feel free enough to participate, I'd appreciate that. That just makes it a little easier to host the class. So let's start with this. If you could unmute yourself and answer the following question. What social media platform do you use the most?
Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay, so we have more. Okay, one person is on TikTok so far, but the one that you use the most, it seems like most people use Facebook right now. Then second, it would be Instagram. And then TikTok seemed like a little lingering over here. I hear TikTok is a big thing though. I will admit that I've heard a lot about it. Okay, so for me, my answer is I do use Facebook and Instagram. Probably, I wouldn't say I probably use myself Facebook a little bit more than I use Instagram. However, when I do post things that are for business, I will always feed it into Instagram first, and then I will have that automatically get posted to Facebook. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is a setting in Instagram where you can feed something from there and then basically have that exact same thing be fed on to Facebook. So you do not have to automatically log into a second social media account and then have to post a second post. So you can do one post and just have it automatically fed. So that's just a little side note. Does anyone know how many followers they have on that one platform that they actually use the most? Like if you use Facebook the most, you know how many followers you have, and or Instagram? No. Okay. The only thing that I know about on mine. Oh, somebody was going to talk.
I have just over 1,000 on Facebook, and then not very many. I think 250 or 260 on Instagram. I focus mainly on Facebook because the demographics on Facebook are homeowners, right? Like Instagram is a lot of the younger generation and they're buyers. I don't work with buyers as a listing specialist. So I focus more on where the demographic is that I'm looking to target, which is, you know, I think the statistic is like 58% of Facebook users are like over 50 years old. Those are where the homeowners are at and the people that are looking to sell. So that's why I focus mainly there.
Yeah, so you are going to follow, you're going to see that Instagram, if you really start studying the social media platforms, you'll see that TikTok is for younger crowds. There's going to be a lot of millennials on TikTok, on Instagram, and then you're going to have a combination that kind of merges over between Instagram and Facebook, but Facebook tends to be the older generation. They are really, the older generation actually is very confused about how Instagram works, ironically. So they tend to kind of block out things that they don't already understand and know. So it's very easy to find the older crowd there on Facebook. I'm a Facebook person. I prefer Facebook, but I also know that I still need to share things on Instagram, and I got used to doing that. Thank you for sharing that information. I have about I don't remember how many I have on my Facebook, but I know on Instagram I have myself about 1,000 followers. And then I probably follow the same amount of people. I would say following and followers are probably equal for me. Facebook, I definitely have more, I want to say. And that one I'm definitely on all the time, whereas Instagram, I really am not as active on it. So the following quote, I don't know, Erin's on it right now. So it takes time to learn something, more time to implement it, and even longer to approach a mastery of it. So what does this really mean? What does the sentence define? Well, today, the purpose of today is that you're going to be learning something new. Hopefully you get at least one thing. Remember, there's always one thing you want to take out of something you learn. If you walk away with one thing alone that you found helpful, then it was well worth your time. So my goal for you guys today is to make sure that you have at least one thing that you take away from today, and then that you can go back and implement that. And then mastery is something that you really would have to focus on the second word, which is implementing. For you to really become a master at something, you have to implement a lot, and it has to be very consistent. So that is my hope and my wish for you guys. Is there something specific that someone wants to share, or that someone can share, of what it is that they are looking to take out of today's class before I officially start following all of these guidelines in Ignite? Can someone share something like, if you have a question like, oh, I logged into this class because this is what I wanted to accomplish today, and I wanted to learn the following. Okay, I will continue on page 11. Okay, so it is important to know that even with social media, if conducting lead generation at all times, okay, at all, agents must reference your market center DBA name. So if it's not just Keller Williams, it's going to be Keller Williams Hudson Valley or Hudson Valley United, whatever it is. You need to make sure that, first of all, that's always on everything. It's actually part of the marketing guidelines. So make sure, even if you're posting just sold or under contract, marketing guidelines requires more than that. It actually requires that you have the name of the company that you work for, as well as the equal housing opportunity logo, which is something the majority of people do miss out on. But that's something that's really important. I try to always make sure that when I post something or I create something on Canva, that I always have that equal housing opportunity logo there. It's supposed to be on all of your marketing pieces, regardless of whether it's social media or not. It could be a sheet that you leave for let's say you have a listing and you have a sheet for marketing the house, a feature sheet, basically. That sheet is supposed to also have the equal housing opportunity logo there. So just be very mindful of those guidelines. And if you are not sure and you want to double check something, definitely reach out to compliance so that they can help you with that. Let's see. When you identify yourself in social media, you have to have your name, your title. If you're going to use a cell phone number, it has to be clearly stated that it is a cell phone. So you have to have either the letter C, write out the, word direct or whatever. You have to basically say that whether they're calling an office or they're calling a cell phone. So just make sure that you do that as well. And your license, whatever license type it is that you have, make sure that you use your license type. So if it's salesperson, you should not just be writing, my name is John Schmo, licensed salesperson. You're actually supposed to say licensed RE salesperson, or license. You can spell it out or abbreviate it, but it has to say licensed RE salesperson or licensed associate broker, whatever it is that you are. So if you would like to double check what those guidelines are, I'm going to actually copy a link from NAR. And if you want to double check that information, I'm going to drop it into the chat. That is a link for the NAR website.
And we do have a question. Joe, you have your hand.
Oh.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Is it necessary to have your license number on any of your marketing material or at all?
No, the only time that you, it is not required on any marketing material at all. Not even your business cards, to be honest. So the only time you're,
Not in New York State. So just watch if you are licensed in another state.
Okay. Correct. Not in New York State. I don't know what the other rules are in other states. So in our state, No, it is not required. You will be asked for your license if you are doing an FHA transaction. They have a form that they fill out. And whenever you are sending a commission bill to an attorney, you should always have your license number on that commission bill.
Okay.
That's the best advice I could give you as far as when you will actually be asked for that information. Other than that, you won't need it.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so let's review this 10-5-1 social engagement system. As part of your daily success system, you've been liking, commenting, direct messaging people on your social media profiles. You have been executing the 10-5-1 engagement system already. Today, we're going to dive deep and explore the tools for success within its system. So, Erin, can you tell us what that 10-5-1 stands for?
Sure. So it's 10 likes or loves. So essentially, how many posts do you like per day is the 10. It's 5 comments. So connecting with your market by reaching out with comments to the people that you're communicating with, and getting people thinking about you with 1 share or direct message original post. That is the 10-5-1.
Awesome. Has anyone, can anyone share an aha or an example of something that they've been doing that kind of stuck with them? I'll tell you what I did. Was it 2 days ago? Yesterday? It was yesterday. Yesterday, I have a client who purchased commercial property with intent of opening up her new restaurant. It's taken her several months to get the restaurant up and running between the liquor license and all of this kind of stuff going on. It's the only and the first commercial deal I've ever had in 15 years, but it happened to be a past client of mine, and they really wanted to continue the relationship that we had now. So, you know, they like my services, obviously, and they wanted to come back and say, hey, no, we don't want to use anyone else. We want to use you. I told them I was not an expert in commercial, but the deal worked out. I learned new things. Things that I did not know before, even after being in real estate in 15 years. So just so you know, you don't stop learning. And they are opening up this restaurant. She started an Instagram account. She's been posting as she's training her chefs. She's been posting the dishes that they're getting together and getting ready. And yesterday she put up a post and she said she's having a soft grand opening on this Friday. But it was by reservation only. So I went ahead and I shared that post, but I shared that post with pretty much anyone, and whether it's friends or it was past clients on Instagram, but as a direct message. And I sent it to them directly with the question as, hey, attached with a question. And I said, hey, this is a brand new restaurant that's going to be opening up. There's a soft closing on Friday. Are you able to come out? I'll be there at 7:30. And I actually got a lot of replies from past friends that, you know, I know that live in the area, and from past clients as well. I mean, somebody asked me, oh, is this your restaurant? But it engages. And it was a client who, the person who asked if it was my restaurant was someone who is a past client. And she just thought that maybe this is my new adventure. But now I'm re-engaged with that past client. We've been talking about doing an addition in her house. Does it make sense to do an addition in her house? Should she sell it? So now you're starting conversations that you didn't know you could start from just sending someone a direct message. So don't hesitate to think twice whether or not you should post something like that or share something with someone, because you never know what it would spark. Okay. So that's just my 2 cents and what I learned yesterday in sharing something that had nothing to do with any of my, you know, craziness that goes on. Okay. So thanks for sharing that, Erin. So just remember, it's 10 likes on whatever platform you're on, basically 5 comments, and one of them should be considered a direct message or some kind of a little bit more detailed, let's just say, engagement. Has anyone done anything similar to what I'm talking about, and what kind of success have you had? No. Start following. When you start following people that are either building a business or maybe they have a restaurant and they share something, start sharing it with other people. You know, and if you're going to go somewhere, then just kind of throw that out there. I'll be there at 7:30. You know, I'd like to see you there if you're around, if you're free, whatever. And you'd be surprised. You know, some people will just reply just to be kind and let you know that they can't make it, but it'll engage that conversation between them. So let's see. So we are supposed to, Refer participants to the participation guide and the connect on social media. A list of social media sites. Okay, so we are supposed to take a few minutes to list the social media sites that you guys are actually connected on. So we talked about Facebook, we talked about Instagram. One person mentioned TikTok. Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned that anyone else actually uses? Not that you like have a user ID and password that you actually use.
I use LinkedIn once in a while.
Okay. I don't use LinkedIn. I've probably logged into it several times and I can't get a hang of it.
I use LinkedIn once in a while and Twitter as well.
Wow. Okay. Even Twitter. Okay. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What do we say? Twitter
And
and
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. So there's 5 platforms that basically in this group of what everyone is.
And Danielle Hinton says Pinterest. She uses Pinterest as well.
Pinterest. Okay.
Be curious
just
to hear,
steal
Danielle,
ideas.
if you want to.
I steal ideas
Danielle
on
want to
Pinterest.
share?
That's all I do.
I'm just curious, Danielle, what is it that you use Pinterest for? How do you use that to engage? Is it more for
It's
you
all-
engaging with others?
It's all for engaging with others because people love pictures and Pinterest is just pictures. And I can't tell you how many hours I wasted on Pinterest going through beautiful houses and things that I like and things that I want in my new home or as the season change, different decorations. So if you just put a beautiful picture on Pinterest and something of interest to grab their attention and they want to click it, it will immediately send you to my blog post or to my new listing or whatever the case may be. So it's just a great site that really utilizes high quality pictures to grab your attention and get them to where you want them to be. Couldn't be simpler.
So would you agree with this statement if I said to you that you are using Pinterest to help you generate new business?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, do you think that you could do that with other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, they're all basically the same idea, more or less. As far as social media is concerned, if you can't grab their attention in the less than half a second it takes to swipe past the picture, you're probably not going to get them on the way back up. So as long as that whatever it is that you're using to grab their attention, being a graph, infographic, or a funny picture, a meme, whatever the case may be, it's got to grab their attention immediately for them to read the blurb.
I agree with that. And it also does depend on, like you're saying, it takes them 1 second to either decide whether they're going to look at something or click it or
Less
not.
than 1 second.
It does depend on the
Less.
platform that you're on. So if you're on, let's say Snapchat, if you're on TikTok, or even on Instagram, those millennials have a shorter span of attention than if you were on, let's say, LinkedIn or Facebook, where people actually take the time to read in full. So I think if we were to take information from studies of Facebook and in comparison, let's say LinkedIn and Facebook, and then maybe the younger millennial platforms, I think you would see that the span of attention may be a little bit longer on the older social media accounts like Facebook and LinkedIn, maybe, whereas the other ones might be, like you said, it takes 1 second, they determine whether or not they want to read it. And then it's, it's whether or not they have an interest that, that they're just going to keep scrolling. So that is important. How does, for anyone else who has not answered any of these questions, how does interacting with others on social media help build your business? Lucas, would you like to answer that question? Oh, by the way, WhatsApp is not considered a social media platform. I consider that a chat platform versus social media platform. You're not really, you could post on your, let's say on your status, but I myself don't consider that social media, no, because it's something that someone would have to have you logged into their phone already. It's not a platform that you need to have people's numbers for that. Okay, so we're gonna, let's see. As a newer agent, posts definitely keep me in front of my sphere, says John. It does. It does. And you have to, it keeps you in front of them, but you also have to make sure to engage. So people will see it, but make sure that you're continuing to engage with them. And that's what this whole learning lesson is really about. It's not just posting something, you have to engage with them. That's the 10-5-1. So I'm going to go to page 14. Well, we talked about doing the likes, right? So it's all engagement. So on page 13, just make sure you do the 10 likes. On page 14, it talks about doing the 5 comments. It could be something simple as, you know, somebody posts a picture of a birthday cake. Hey, happy birthday to so-and-so. And all you have to do is write the words happy birthday to your grandma. I hope she has a great day. And they will eventually click on the heart if it's Instagram, or they will click on like if it's Facebook or LinkedIn. That keeps the algorithm where you want it to be. So if you want to continue to see engagement from that person, that individual on your social media platform, you have to stay engaged with them. Otherwise, it's not going to actually pop up on your feed. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you do apply the 10-5-1. Explain, ask. Okay, what's a comment that you have received on social media post recently that made you feel seen or heard? If anyone can comment on that, please. I'll read it again. What's a comment that you have received on a social media platform or a post that made you feel seen or heard by someone else? No one has felt seen or heard lately?
When they send you a reply and they actually put your name in it to get your attention, they want to let you know that they saw you and they want you to see the reply immediately. That makes you feel, as if, someone's really engaging with you, even if it's just 1 or 2 people. They still took the time to reach back and honestly, engage in conversation, ask a question back, or send you a private message if they don't feel like being, if they don't want their conversation in the middle of the comments. I think that makes you feel especially heard, or at the very least that you maybe answered a question that was in their mind that they have not actually asked out in the open, but they were thinking about it and you brought it up. So there's the conversation.
That's a very good point. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I should be applying that too. I should make sure to do things like that. So when you're on Facebook, on Instagram, I know you can do the little @ symbol and then put that person's name. So like you said, it'll force them to look at it quickly because now they're basically tagged onto that message that they're writing in, or they PM you, That's a really good point. That's something that we can all apply to make sure that, like she said, it gets heard a little faster or read a little faster. So if you tag that person on a comment that you're putting up publicly, they will get tagged and they'll be forced to see it rather than it just gets lost into all the messages that they receive. So that's another really good point in the 5 comments. And then in the 1, right, the 10-5-1. So every day you should also create 1 original post, share someone else's post or direct message with someone. When you share someone else's post, things like community activities, fundraisers, quotes, or other useful inspirational posts, think about the uniqueness you intend to bring to someone else's informational feed. So for example, in what I mentioned before, when I shared someone else's restaurant that's going to have a soft opening, I shared it, but I sent it directly as private messages. I had more than 3 responses from the people that I sent it to. However, 3 specific responses from people that said, hey, me and my husband do date nights on Fridays. Can you make a reservation for 7:30? And obviously I know the owner, I know the situation, I know how to get them a reservation. So I went ahead and I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm already putting it out there and I had just made my reservations. I have contact with the owner. Why not? So I ended up making an appointment for the town of Haverstraw judge, who I sent the message to, and she said that she was going to come to make a reservation for 2, that she will find someone to bring with her. So the town of Haverstraw judge replied to me, past client that said she goes on date nights on Friday. and I forgot who the other person was, a family member of mine that said, and another realtor, actually it was 4 people, and a family member of mine said 2, and then another realtor said she has been waiting for that restaurant to open for a while now, and that she wanted to make a reservation for 4 adults, 2 kids, but that she saw that the post got updated and that they were basically almost booked. So I said, don't worry about it. I'll talk to the owner and I'll make sure you have a reservation made. So those are the kind of things that keep you engaged with people, whether or not they're realtors or not. Sometimes that relationship is more valuable than you know. You'd be very surprised. We do all work together, so we always have to make sure we have good relationships with others, and it actually does take us a lot further, just so you know. Private messaging is a really good way to show with people that you do care and that you have a certain intent, and that's what, you know, direct messaging does with social media. When you create your original post, make sure to follow the 80-20 rule. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So, any ahas so far? Anything anyone wants to share that was helpful that someone else shared so far? I know Danielle shared a goodie over there, so I would like to say that that was an aha for me. I'll be tagging people with their names on things so that they can actually acknowledge it a little bit better. Okay, so we are going to go to page 17 and we are going to cover our agenda for the day. We're going to refer to the participation guide that you guys have, that you were able to download. We're going to talk about that 80-20 principle practice regarding social media posts. Let me see what the rest of my notes say here. Hold on. Okay, 80% of your posts should be about something other than real estate. Only 1 out of every 5 posts should be regarding your real estate business. So 1 in 5. Okay. So can someone suggest, whether it's they are talking or in the chat, can someone suggest what are, if you had to do 1 is regarding real estate, what would be the other 4 items that you can do in a week? Let's just say you post in a week, Monday through Friday. And if you post Monday through Friday, 1 of them is going to be reserved for real estate. So what are you going to do with Tuesday through Friday? Let's just say. Any ideas, any suggestions?
You could post about new places that you've went, new restaurants, or any kind of family activities that you did.
Okay, so that's 2. You talked about businesses and you talked about family. So we have 2 left. What other 2 ideas can we come up with? Recreation. Okay, good. And an opinion poll. Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. An opinion poll is not something a lot of people do. That is super, super engaging. And then it does depend on how you want to take that opinion poll, but you can actually make a secondary post with that opinion poll. So if you ask the question in an opinion poll, like for example, let's just say my kids love playing, I have 3 kids. They play Would You Rather, right? So my daughter's like, oh, would you rather have like toothpaste in your toothbrush or this and that? You know, it could be something silly like that. It doesn't necessarily always have to be very specific to just real estate, but let's just say you did something silly. Maybe you have one day where you just write something silly. I've seen where agents once a month, I think it is, they do one that says like, where am I? And they'll take a picture somewhere or a picture of a figurine or somewhere that they drove by, and people have to guess where they are. And sometimes they even engage them in some kind of raffles and things like that. So it can really be something that you can take to the next level and get really creative with. Those are just other ideas to keep in mind. All right, so let's dig a little deeper now. I'm on page 19 about the 80-20 principle. Instead of inundating your social media platforms with just listings, pendings, under contract, sold, with this principle, 80% of your post is about your interest. So it could be your interest. It could be something that it doesn't need to specifically be just things that you like. It could be something that you may think someone else might appreciate or like. If you know that there is, and by the way, I'm just going to stop right there and I'm going to tell you, try as hard as you can to stay away from anything that has to do with politics, because it can lead that conversation somewhere you might not want it to. That's just my 2 cents. I have things that I am very adamant about, and that's one of them. I do not bring politics to the table. It really, you would have to be sitting in my house to talk about politics. I will tell people if they ask me about my political view, I'll say I don't speak about that in public. That's
I never
my-
want to alienate any individual group of people by having a staunch opinion on one thing or the
Yep.
other.
Yep. And then, it just goes into the whole, oh, well, this is what you believe in. That means that you're an extremist on this. And then, yeah, you just don't want it to go that way. So I would tell you, just as a recommendation, never do anything that has to do with politics. I know who the town of the Haverstraw judge is. She's an attorney that has been recommended with many clients that I've recommended to her. So we've worked together for a long time. And I'm as much as I want to post about how awesome she is, I choose not to do that because that has to do with politics. So that's just, a respect in my business that I have. So I kind of leave that aside. You could post about what you're reading in the 80%, principle. You could post about something. Maybe there's a good book. Maybe you're traveling somewhere and you really enjoyed your stay there, and you could talk about the differences of being here in, the US versus where you went to travel. Let's just say you were in the UK. What are the differences? Like, maybe I've heard from people like the sinks are really small, the bathrooms are tiny. So those are just comparisons. Maybe you like to go hiking. Maybe there's a new trail that you did, that you went hiking on, and that's something that you want to post about. Maybe you're a gardener. These are other ideas. Maybe you're a starting gardener and you want to show people the things that you started that worked for you and things that did not work for you. Those are always helpful tips. Like I look for things like that. I want to have a garden next year, a vegetable garden. And I've been, looking up like, what are mistakes? What did people learn from the first year of gardening that they made mistakes with? So it's okay if things are not perfect. I want to tell you that now. It's okay. People look for the imperfect posts more than you probably think that they do. And that's why it's so important for you to create that unique perspective with your post. That's why I'm saying it's okay for you to make a mistake. It doesn't ever have to be 100% perfect. If you fumble, it's okay. Just keep going.
I do want to share, there's a realtor from somewhere in the country. I don't even know where she's from, that I follow on TikTok. And she shows you how to clean things, which she'll post real estate every once in a while, but a lot of what she posts is the best way to clean your stove and how to clean your blinds and things like that. And I just find that so informative, and it's something I'm interested in. And then when she does post a real estate post in all of that, it makes me associate her with being a real person and being helpful and having things to share.
I would probably love to follow that person.
I will share her with you. I love her.
So, you could share her with some of us. That would be really, really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to pick on someone and I'm going to ask the following question. What unique passion can you bring to the table? If you don't feel like talking, that's okay. Let's just call on Wendy. I don't know if I've spoken with Wendy yet today. You can type if you cannot talk, but what do you bring to the table? What kind of hobby may you have or passion that you could post about on social media? Or anyone can comment on it, but I'd love to hear Wendy's opinion. Oh, look at that. She's driving, but she works with horses. How awesome would that be? So having a post, now that's very unique. That's actually really a beautiful thing. Very unique. You work with horses. I mean, imagine I've never been in a horse stable. I've been in farms where the wild horses are loose, with acres and acres, but I've never actually been to a horse stable. So I think that would be very unique. What is an appropriate way for you to groom a horse one day? The next day it's how to take care of their hygiene, how to brush their teeth properly, and, or how to feed them the right way, or, how do the horses have those their shoes actually put on. I think those things are really interesting. So if you had something like that, let's just say once a week or once a month, you devote it to your actual hobby, that would be really cool. That's not something people see every day. So do appreciate the things that you enjoy and share that with others, because you might actually be bringing the best part about this is that you're actually attracting the kind of people you want in your life to be your clients. If you share about the things you like horses, you're more likely to attract people who also have a passion for animals of some sort. And they're going to say, hey, this person is someone I could relate to. I want to work with that person because I see how they treat their animals and how they groom them and how they're making other people aware of what's good for the animals and not for the animals. And you're automatically going to attract the kind of people you do want to work or be around. So just be mindful of that and how it can actually help you. All right, so now let's talk about on page 20, 20% of your posts can be self-promotion or post about business, where I'm speaking awards I've won. Let's just say, you know, you're top 20% agent in the office, or, you know, you had your first transaction take place. If you had a listing and you sold it above asking, those are the kind of things that you're allowed to post about, of course. If you have a listing, if you're pending, those are real estate posts. You can always do that. There's a lot of things that you can do with real estate posts. If you became associated with, let's say, some kind of, or affiliated with some kind of non-for-profit, that's business, you know, but it can also lead on to the other 20%. So if you have gotten involved with Helping Hands, then maybe you can take your real estate business, still post about that one day, you know, let's say Monday. And then on Tuesday, you could talk about your non-for-profit and how you give back to the community and how that non-for-profit does serve the community the best way. So those are just other ideas. Inspirational quotes, by the way, can also be, it can be helpful. It can take one day to do an inspirational quote. If you're a person who likes inspirational quotes, go for it. If you're a person who does not relate for it, then that's okay. But remember, you want to do things that move you, not just what everyone else is doing. So if you see someone else is doing something and you're like, oh, this is cool, but you can't relate to that, just be true to yourself. Let all of that social media engagement define who you are. Don't try to be anybody else. Okay? Because you might be attracting the wrong person, for one. And number two, it's not your true self. There's nothing better than being your true self. What are some of the business posts that you could create that might help increase engagement on social media? Well, we just talked about the horses. Is there anyone else that does, that has a hobby that is non-real estate related that no one would ever guess? Like, it doesn't have to be horses, but you know, you don't have to be a veterinarian. I'm just asking, you know, if you're an avid hiker, that's a pretty big thing. Danielle says she loves cars. There you go. Maybe, you know, I think the season for car shows was like all this past month. And there were a lot of like car shows and stuff like that last month. I remember seeing signs and such. If you went to, let's say, a car show, post some pictures of cars, and why not? Wine trails. That's awesome. If you live in Orange County, there are vineyards everywhere. It's so easy to say, you know what, here I am, I'm in Warwick Winery and we're having a good time. Today's Friday, the time is so and so, there's a band here, it's live today. Every Friday they have a band. You know, if you guys ever come down here, let me know, check out the place, it's really cool, blah, whatever. You know, it could be something very simple like that. But those are things that if you enjoy doing, again, you're just going to attract the same people who you do want to work with. If you enjoy something, you know, it's like if you're a golfer and you enjoy golfing and you post about golfing, then you're going to attract the same people back to you as clients. And then it's just going to stay as a little tight-knit network. And that's really what you do. You end up focusing and attracting the people that you do want, that have the same interests that you have. So let's see, we're going to move on to page 21. On section, let's see, 21. To go over the top, give 110% video choice. To go over the top, give 110% and be the real estate expert of choice. Consider making an extra 10% of your post be public service, crossover post. Sometimes you have to acknowledge what others need. So sometimes you have the knowledge that others need. Sorry, I read that wrong. Sometimes you have the knowledge that others need, like, you know, let's just say sharing the restaurant information that another realtor said, I've been waiting for that place to open. Maybe they didn't see that post. That's one thing. Let's say I share things from my community, like whenever there's a what is it called? And High Tour Animal Shelter over in Pomona. I live in Rockland County, and sometimes they post on social media that they're having a clinic for rabies. And a clinic for rabies for dogs or cats is free vaccines. And someone in your community, you might trigger, oh my goodness, let me go look at my vaccine record for my pet and see if they need one. Oh, what do you know? Now hey, look, I'm making an appointment to go over there. Thank you so much for sharing that post. I'm going to be there Saturday. And you know what? You just help somebody. So it's something that you're sharing, that you're saying, you know what, this might not be something, for example, I don't have a pet, but I shared that information because I know that it will be helpful to someone else. So always remember that just because it might not be necessarily something you connect with at all times, it may be helpful for someone else with what you choose to share. And that could be the other 4 days out of 5. But it's also important for you to be active in your community. They want to make sure, well, Ignite. Okay. Ignite is telling me to make sure you are active in your community. I am active in my community. I'm actually a Girl Scout troop leader. I am the diversity and equity chairwoman in our office. And I was the secretary for the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, which basically just throws parties, funds some money, and then some of that money goes towards fighting for things in justice and politics. And the other part of it is for conventions that we would be attending. So you do network with a lot of people whenever you do volunteer in your community. You get to meet new people. Let's just say you volunteer for soccer. You will meet other people when you're volunteering. And it's a matter of saying, hey, here's my contact information. And you hand them your card and you could start a business relationship with that person. So those are other ways to engage yourself, not just in the social media aspect world, but in real life. Let's say, for example, there is a memo that goes out from the town where I live, the town of Havistraw says, hey, there's going to be a tax increase because now the school taxes went up 2%. Well, if that's the case, not to get into politics, but if you do want to share that information in your social media, you may want to share that there. If you don't want to start a whole turmoil of conversation and get a bunch of people talking about things you're not interested in, then you don't have to share it. But if the price, let's say, for example, Grievance, here's a good one. Maybe you don't want to post about that tax increase and you just want to post about good things. Well, tax grievance, as some of you may know, is a period of time for 1 month where the towns open up their doors and they say, hey, if you think that you're paying too much money in taxes, it probably means that you're over assessed. Okay. The assessment is the value of your house. Or it's a mathematical formula that they come up with to determine the value of your house and what you should pay in taxes. So grievance is always done in May. And I think it's the 3rd or the 4th Tuesday of May, if I remember correctly. So there's a period of time where they start taking what they refer to as applications. And it's like the homeowner's information, their section, block, and lot. They think that they're paying too much. Why do they think they're paying too much? What kind of proof is attached to this application? And maybe they posted that, hey, the town posted that their grievance period closes out on the 3rd Tuesday of May. And you want to post something like that. Hey, attention, all homeowners in the town of Havistraw. If you think you're paying too much money in taxes, grievance period is open. Call me for more information. And then boom, now you're getting a bunch of people who aren't necessarily just your past clients. Now you're getting other people who have maybe bought houses 15 years ago with someone else. It doesn't matter who, or maybe by themselves, is for sale by owner. And they said, you know what, I bought my house. I thought the taxes were great then, but now I'm paying too much and I haven't done any improvements. And before you know it, you're looking at this information and you're saying, how can I help you? And then now they're opening up about other things. Maybe they say, you know, well, I've been thinking about selling, or, I've gone to appointments where I've done a CMA and they've said, well, I paid too much money in taxes. And this was when the interest rates were actually low. And I met with this homeowner and he said, I really want to move. I think I want to move to Stony Point versus the village of Havistraw because we're paying 14 and change here. And if we had the same house in Stony Point, we would be paying about 10 and a half. So we would be saving $3,000 because it wouldn't be in a village. And at the end of the day, I said, well, do you have your mortgage statement? I looked at how much he had a balance. It wasn't low, but it wasn't really high. And I said, well, if you sell it, you know, you're going to have costs associated to this. So you have to pay for real estate commissions and broker fees and recording fees and attorney fees. By the time you're done with all of this, what you thought you were going to make, you're basically just trading a house. So are you comfortable in your house? And he said, yes. And I said, well, does the house no longer work for you? He says, no, this house works for me. It's just that I think that the finances are too tight right now. And I said, well, why don't you just refinance your house? And he's like, well, I don't really know how to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, and this is someone who was Spanish speaking. So he also didn't know what to ask for. He wasn't educated enough to trust people because there was a language barrier. So sometimes when you ask a question like that and there is a language barrier, it's a lot harder for people to trust that what they're hearing is actually what they're processing in their head. So sometimes they don't understand it in full. And I just said to him, you know, all you have to do is refinance. When you refinance, you're paying right now a rate of 5.5%. You can come down to, you know, 2 and change and save yourself tons of money. You'll probably outweigh what you're actually supposed to be paying, you know, every single month. If your taxes were, look, I'm going to take out a calculator. I'm going to show you what I mean. If this person's taxes, if they were paying $3,000 more than they wanted, $3,000 a year, and they were going to make that move, $3,000 divided by 12 months is $250. So that was basically what he was going to be saving on interest. And he ended up staying in his house. So again, the whole purpose of me sharing that information with you is so that you understand that maybe sharing something as grievance or something that the town is doing with taxes can be helpful. And it triggers a conversation with someone that you can provide a service that no one else can. And you know what, at the end of the day, that person did not sell a house with me, but I was able to go to sleep and I felt really good about it. And I knew that I helped somebody that maybe someone else would have forced him to sell his house and given him the wrong advice. And he kept my information and he's referred me to 2 different people. So regardless, when you do the right thing, you'll be blessed enough to get all of that money back plus more. Just always do the right thing. So I'm not talking about social media. I'm kind of going off my own little tangent thing there, but school closures are another thing that they want me to give you as an example. You could post that on social media to keep people educated about it. Food banks, animal shelter information. As I'm talking about this and giving you guys those examples, is there anything else that comes to mind that, you know, you guys can share with each other that we could all learn from each other, not just the things that I've said? What else are we missing? We talked about the cars, the wine trails. What else? Stay away from politics. Okay, let's see. I have to go into a racetrack now. Okay, Wendy went into a racetrack. She should be posting about her racetrack. That's interesting. Okay, so let's see. We are on community service. So we talked about the animal shelter, being involved with the community. Now that the holidays are coming up, there's going to be a lot of places that need volunteer work, soup kitchens. Thanksgiving is coming up right around the corner, and Christmas. Those are the biggest times where people give back. Even something as little as like, hey, they're having a blood drive. I'm really big on donating every year for December. My sister was born, I think the word is jaundice, or yeah, I think it's called jaundice, where like she was yellow when she was born. And if it wouldn't have been for Red Cross, my sister wouldn't have had blood available and she would have basically died. So my mom, every year for my sister's birthday, always went and gave blood. And I never understood why she did that until I started going to high school and I started seeing blood drives. And then one day I said, yeah, sure. I'll give blood. No problem. I didn't know what it was all about. I did it for my, my first time. I was 16, or I don't remember, but I was in high school. I think I was 16 or 17. And I called my mom and I said, yeah, I donated blood today. And she says, and then she explained to me why she donated blood every year for my sister's birthday. She never told me. I just thought that she did it because it was around Christmas. No big deal. My sister's birthday happens to be the 24th of December. And I just thought it was her Christmas tradition. No, it actually had to do with my sister. And I didn't know this till I was 16. So things like this, you might be triggering something in someone's, the back of their head to say, oh my gosh, I forgot to do the donation of blood, So you're reminding people, you're the person who wants to be like, hey, I want to be that person's center of attention, their resource. I want to be everything for them so that they go to my social media whenever they're looking for something important. They're going to be reading it, engaging in it. They're going to like your post. And then by doing that, by you putting out content that they are engaged with, now the algorithm is like, hey, you two are friends. So now whatever, Wendy or Danielle post on social media, I'm going to make sure you see that now. So that's the importance behind making sure that you have the proper engagement, that it's considered 1 for business and then 4 that are non-business, because you want to make sure you're getting people's attention in other subjects, not just sold, under contract, pending, accepted offer, inspection day. Okay. Any specific ahas that anyone wants to share before we move forward onto I think it's 23, the next page. Okay, well, I'd like to learn from horses. My aha is, I hope that, someone posts about horses so that I could learn a little something more about it. I think that'd be really, I hadn't even thought about someone liking horses because I don't connect with the animals, I guess, the same way that she has that as a hobby. She takes care of the horses, and I've never really been exposed to animals like that. So yeah, for me, that would be like, ooh, that's interesting. So that's my little aha, things that don't normally catch my attention. So on page 23, we are now on the social media strategies. Okay, we're going to talk specifically about the strategies that you should be applying. You now know the number of how often you should be posting on 24, sorry. You now know the number on how often you should be posting and the 80-20 practice that should help guide you when you make those posts. Let's look at some more strategies to employ when increasing engagement on social media. If you're like most people and use social media every day, you can think of it as a 365 touch system, which is a term that we used a lot in the older CRMs. Just think of it as a touch is basically a contact. So whether it's social media or let's say it's an email newsletter, that's considered a touch. You made a touch with that potential lead. Okay. There are many different ways, websites that we talked about on platforms like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I mean, I've heard of people using Snapchat. That's not even millennial. That's like the kids now for me in my brain. But it is considered a platform. So we talked about Facebook being the leading platform, and then second, Instagram. It was almost really, really close. And there are different strategies for each of them, and it's all based on who is on that platform. Let me see. We're going to ask a couple of questions. That word for you that you've seen over. Okay. First question is, I have 2 questions I want to specifically ask. What ideas do you have for social media that work for you or that you've seen work? So like Erin, I'm going to pick on you now because you talked about that lady who's a real estate agent that posts on social, but she also talks about like the cleaning tricks.
Yeah. So I think it's anything that to show that there's other value outside of just, like you said, listing houses, selling houses. What other value can you give people that is outside of that realm? And again, using your own interests. Is it, cooking? Is it recipes? Is it, what are you doing? Anything that gets engagement, because I've noticed with Facebook, and I'm not an expert on any of these algorithm things by any means, but when someone comments on a post, it goes to the top of everybody's feed. So the more comments that you can generate on something that you're posting, the more it's going to keep showing up for other people to see it at the top of their feed every time they refresh their Facebook. So anything I think that can get people to comment on what you're doing, asking questions. And like I said, because in this particular instance with this person that I follow, it's TikTok. So she's speaking to us and she's asking questions, and you can comment and and just based on what she's talking about. So I think a lot of it really is getting interest from other people in things that interest them and developing that connection.
Thank you for sharing. There's also Aaron, I know you know the answer to this, and I think Danielle Riggs does too. There's Megan, I forget her last name, for one
Bren
of
White.
the Upstates group.
Yep,
Yes, and
the Upstate
she's
Curious team from our Hudson Valley North Market Center.
she has really taken the social media platform and blew it out of this world. She's done a lot with getting the attention from the city buyers to look for these almost like contemporary, free-spirited kind of houses is what I like to call them, but very, very unique homes. She lives very unique homes. They're all staged very, very nicely to grab the attention of those people that she is looking for. So she's, maybe she does stage her houses. I don't know if she stages all of them. That's not for me to decide that or not. I don't know if that's true, but I know that her marketing is something that catches my attention. She may be posting about local things, but she's also, walking people through the houses is one of the bigger things that she does. She shows you the house. She walks you through it on social media. So those are things that I've seen that work, that get people's attention, especially when you are not a local person, considering that she's looking for the buyers that are in the city and attracting them upstate. That's going to trigger a lot of people to consider secondary housing. So vacation houses is basically what I'm saying. That's one thing that I've seen that has definitely worked over the years, and their team has done very well and has continued to grow.
I think to piggyback on that too, video makes such a bigger impact than just a post. So if you're doing an open house, yes, you can make just a post, but go to the house, create a video, say where you are, say what time it is, what it is that you're offering. And it gets people's attention a lot more than just a flat static post about doing an open house.
Yeah. And that's the thing with social media. It's not limited to just you writing a poster. I know on Instagram, you can't post unless there's a photo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on Facebook, you can just write a post without a photo. It's not required. It's not like everything has to be the same in every platform. No, it can change. The platforms have their own rules and things that you can do and that you can't do. There are things on Twitter that you can't necessarily do on other platforms. So those are things to keep in mind, but you don't want to just do posts. Sometimes people do want to see more than just a post, and doing a video is like, oh my gosh, that person is real. It's not just someone who they took a photo and plopped it on a picture and then they posted it. I think honestly, doing the video idea is something that I started doing videos for when I do like buyer seminars. And that got a lot of attention when I did a video, and I actually paid a videographer to help me put this video together. And then I said, okay, I need this to be literally like friendly for Instagram. So I need this to be like 60 seconds or whatever it was or less. And he put something together for me. And I actually, the year that I did do that, I actually had more people come and attend the buyer seminar than I ever had. And I basically am saying, you can get more engagement with those videos, not just doing the post. The post can be very repetitive after some time. So you have to kind of mix it up. Maybe you decide at 1 out of those 5 days, you're going to do real estate. And the other 4 days you're doing something else, hobby, food, community, recreation, whatever it might be. But maybe one time a month let's just say every other week or one time a month, you want to not just put a post up. Maybe you didn't sell a house and you don't want to post just random nothing. Maybe you want to do this as a myth buster, but it's real estate. And you could say, hey, this is a common question that I get asked, so I'm here to answer it for you, and do that for 30 seconds or less. And then there you go. That's your real estate, but it's a video of your face and people will feel like, oh my gosh, he's real. He's real. So it's a little bit more engaging. It takes it to the next level. And then people do engage in asking more questions when you do have that video, if you leave it with either an open-ended question, or if you make sure to say, something along the line of, if you've experienced something similar, please reach out to me. Let me know what your experience was, or if you have any unanswered questions, things like that. So those are other ideas on, the strategies of the platform. You can post about your neighborhood, of course, on page 24, is still talking about posting in your neighborhood, using the images, congratulating your new homeowners. Of course, you want to post about your listings and engage. That we kind of talked about a lot. So I'm going to go ahead to the next page on page 25. we are talking about highlighting your business. Think hyper local. So keeping current and potential customers aware of the latest market trends in their neck of the woods is a surefire way for agents to position themselves as experts while providing valuable information to their audience, right? So if you have, let's say your clientele is Rockland County and Orange County, and you know that you've really covered that area the most, and you are going to be doing local information and stats in one of your videos or your post, just make sure, I would say, just make sure either A, you're going to be hyper focused and you're going to say, nope, I only want to focus on engaging people in this area, and you're going to be super local focused, or you want to consider then covering the areas of where all of your clients are. Not the whole entire New York State, you know, but you want to do maybe Rockland and Orange County and talk about the difference in the stats between the two counties. And then that way people could understand what is the difference in the economy of real estate, let's say, between those two counties. So those are other ideas. Let's talk about, let's see, utilizing tech developments. With the release of the KW app and its arsenal of customizable templates and command to support it, it's easy to build the anticipation and the excitement that will help highlight and amplify your business. We are able to do landing pages. We're able to do newsletters. I think if I remember correctly, Eileen Daly said that you can even come up with like a page where people can like sign in for open houses, and it just,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, and then it automatically feeds as like a lead into your CRM, which is, you know, KW command. So that there's a lot of things with the technology that will facilitate this for you, but specifically about social media, what can you do to use that technology for social media? Well, if you create a landing page, let's say, for example, I just took a listing yesterday, I posted it last night, and I had the photographer do still photos and do a Matterport tour. Well, I know I have a Matterport tour. I know I can maximize a Matterport tour. I can even do a video of a Matterport tour as if someone was walking through it, right? Like you can do a video screen, kind of like a screenshot, but in a video on your phone. That's one option. Or I could say, no worries, I'm going to create a landing page. And with this landing page, I'm going to post that on social media. So you can do a video, let's say, for example, a video walkthrough of your listing. Like that's what I intend on doing a walkthrough of my listing. And then with that walkthrough, have the landing page attached to it. So if anyone clicks it and they want to see more information, that information then gets fed into command. And now that client's email and their names, you know, first name and last name are automatically there. It does not require them to put in a phone number, just so you know, but it does require them to provide an email. So at least now you know where they're coming from when they go into your website. And then, client testimonials, of course. Don't be afraid to post client testimonials, especially if they're really good and they pointed out something that, you know, let's say you overcame something. A lot of times, sometimes clients come and they are already working with another agent, and then, you know, you say, you know, you got to make a choice. Either A, you need to fire your agent and make sure you have that in writing. You have to sign an agreement with me, you know, whatever hurdle is highlighted in that testimonial. Those are the best things to do in a testimonial to highlight. And then you could take that testimonial in a screenshot, and then you could comment in the bottom and talk about the process. You know, wishing them all the best, of course, but those are really good to do, also to do testimonials. You don't want to do too many testimonials. It just becomes very overwhelming. And a lot of people actually just skip through testimonials if you post too many of them. So maybe once a month could be a good engagement for a testimonial, once every other, but not every single week. All right, so we'll move on to 20, I think it's 27, 26. Don't post and ghost. Another important thing to remember is to make sure that you don't post and ghost, okay? So if you post something and you ghost, and people are commenting and you leave them hanging for 3-4 days, they kind of start losing interest in whatever it is that you're posting if you do not reply back to them. So that's the ghosting side of posting and ghosting. Good posts will definitely lead to steady streams of engagement, comments, likes, and shares. Don't let them sit. Make sure that you acknowledge them right away so that it can continue to engage you with their social media and that the algorithm keeps you attentive to what's going on. Okay. What you should be doing with social media is that you should be creating time blocks. Set aside a time each day to respond to every person so that it doesn't become too overwhelming for you. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to be on my phone all day, I can't do this till 10, 5, 1 thing. Well, if it's easier for you, maybe if you pick up your phone in the morning and you're one of those that likes to check your social media, I do things like that normally between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. That's when I schedule my stuff like that. So I check my email in the morning by around 8 to 8:30, but usually I like to do my emails around 8:30. And then what I do is first thing in the morning, I do look at the social media. And then at the end of the day, before I go to bed, I go through that one more time. And that's it. I don't overwhelm myself with going on social media platforms halfway through the day or 4 or 5 times because I need them to be responded to every single hour of the day. It can be very overwhelming if you do that. If you're a person who's okay with that, that's fine. But if it is overwhelming, then at least set up a time block for yourself where you know that you will at least engage in this in less than 24 hours or 24 hours as max is my suggestion. Just remember that each opportunity, each post, each like that you're getting is an opportunity for business. And that's what you should be mindful of. So I'm going to move on to 27, adding value. When you navigate the online world, it is important to find communities where you can add value. At the end of the day, people will feel that you are offering them value. Through Facebook groups and communities, you can offer value to literally thousands of people. Posting about, let's say, okay, so explain, finding the right communities to be a part of on social medias can take time. And of course, this time will be well worth it. The investment will be well worth it. If you're in the right community groups that you're looking to be a part of, that you feel are going to need that community, like resources, those kind of things, then it will be worth for you to be a part of it and be engaged in it and then share things on it. I know on Facebook, there are groups. I don't think on Instagram, correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody says I'm wrong, okay, you're going to have to tell me how I can find this, but I don't think on Instagram you can do groups or that there are such things as community groups. Everyone has their own account name. You know, if you're a non-for-profit, you can't start a group. You're just your own identity and there's no groups. Whereas with Facebook, there could be a group called Rockland County Real Estate, Orange County Real Estate, Sullivan County Real Estate, Rockland Rentals, Orange County Rentals, things like that. Temporary housing, things, you know, that may be related to real estate, and you can post your social media engagement in there as well. Sometimes there's groups that have restrictions where you can't do that, but there are groups that you don't necessarily have restrictions on. So that's another place that you can post that is outside of your own profile. Are there any communities, for those of you who said Facebook is what you use the most, are any of you part of a group where you do share your current real estate stuff? I'm curious.
I do.
Okay, and where is that?
I post on some of the military websites because my husband's active duty.
Nice, awesome. Are you also your husband's active duty? So he's probably has a whole USAA account. I imagine you do too.
Yeah.
Okay. As a suggestion, and if you're willing to take referrals from networks with military people, there is, when they call up, like let's say right now you were to call up and you said, hey, my husband and I are looking into purchasing a home and we want to get pre-approved. They're going to get you guys pre-approved, get you a VA loan, and more than likely, of course. And then they're going to say, hey, by the way, we have an incentive that if you use a realtor from our network, then we will give you $2,500 towards your closing. How do you become, now you have to think of this also, because social media is one thing, but there's so many different strings that you could take this off to. How do you position yourself to be the person that you are right now saying that you're in that group? How do you continue to throw yourself into people's faces outside of social media? You can call up. What can you do? I'll let you answer that first.
No, I'm actually trying to figure all that out right now because I know it's an opportunity that I have. I'm just trying to figure out like the best way to navigate it.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask you, as someone who has a husband who is active duty, you know that the military lifestyle requires you to move often enough. My sister just retired from the Navy, so I can understand this very year. So you know that when you are looking for housing as a military wife, that understanding the areas is so important to making the final decision if you're going to be there with your family for that term that he signs up for, right?
Very true.
Okay. So keeping that in mind, you would want to consider posting things on social media as you continue to attract the people that you want. And now you're saying, I'm part of this group, so I'm going to assume that you're trying to attract those people, right? How do you attract those people? Well, people like yourself that may be looking to move into this area, you may want to say, what stations are nearby? Where do you live?
Okay. I live in Round Top,
Okay. And what county is that?
Greene County,
Okay. And what is the closest military station to you? The
Socrates.
base. Okay. And what is the second closest?
I'm not sure. It
You
might
think
be
West
down in the
Point,
city.
maybe?
Or maybe West Point.
I think it might be, it might not be West Point. Maybe that's the third. But those are things that you want to start focusing on. You want to make sure that your social media has content that focuses on those three areas. If you're willing to serve those three areas, communities, let's say if you're willing to go down to West Point, then start associating your social media posts should have things about those two closest stations near you. And then you could talk about local eat, right? Because that's what my sister looks for. She looks for whether there's good food. She was in like near Annapolis, but outside Annapolis for some time. So she was like something like, I think 20 minutes from Annapolis. And that was a really big thing for her. She loved seafood. She loved Annapolis. She liked that. She used to be stationed in Europe for some time. And so she has that charm of like the old world. She has a thing for it. Like, I think when she had her bachelorette party, we were all wearing like, she had like a weird party of tea. Like we literally had tea and we had to wear tea hats. And, you know, whatever, that was just that's what she liked. And that's okay because that's who she was. So if you feel like that's what you want to attract, then start setting your mind to focus on these areas. What do people that are military want? They want to know, you can't express whether a community is considered safe, but you could let them know that you are comfortable by letting them know that your engagement is something that interests them. So talk about those two militaries. If they have a Army football game, let's say nearby, post that. Hey, Army football game, you know, West Point is going to be playing against blah, 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 and talk about the events that they're doing there and focus on those events. I would also tell you to try to get yourself into the networks. Like Cardis is what you want. What I was talking about before, when I said, you know, if you call and you get pre-approved and you get your pre-approval as a, you know, VA, and they give you that, hey, you have 2,500, you can use our own people and we'll get that as a closing credit. That's through, it's called Cardis Network.
Okay.
Okay, CATUS, Cardis Network, and then type in real estate referral or something like that. And you'll see that on their website, it says, you know, call here if you're a real estate agent to fill out an application. There's going to be, of course, a referral fee. But once you're in and you get those referrals and you have that client that did move, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to start telling their buddies who also have to come down here to the same station and comforting them and saying, I have a real estate agent. And when I used her, I got $2,500 off. So let me refer this client to you. Right?
Sounds great.
Okay. So, let me go back to my notes. I hope that all worked out and it made sense for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, let's see, where did I leave off? Okay, when you navigate the online world, it's important to find communities where you can add value. At the end of the day, people will feel that you're offering them value through Facebook groups and communities. You offer that value, literally thousands of people. We said that before. This is how we got into the conversation now. So you talked about the community with military. Now that I had that conversation with you, what other ideas maybe did I spark that you think that you could post on social media? That's for you, Erica.
I would just say things about the community that people coming in aren't going to know about, or like I try to post a lot of just pictures of the area when I move, just because it's a new area that people I know haven't been to, and I like to share, what it looks like and what we're doing.
Yeah. And remember, a lot of military people, I mean, from the ones that I do know, they're very, very active. When they come back home, they're not just sitting around. They don't like to be bored. So these are people that are like, hey, where's the next Oktoberfest? Oh, hey,
Yes.
where's the best hiking trail? You know what? Where is a biking park? Where's the nearest biking trail? Or a trail that's near the water. Sometimes that's really attractive. I had somebody ask me that, actually, who was someone in the reserves, and they're like, I love to bike. I need to know if I'm buying a house, I want to be near biking trails. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know anything about biking. I mean, my kids have bikes and that's it. That's all I have. I don't know anything about biking trails. I said, well, where's the water close by this area? Where can I go? Where's a big park? Is there a state park that I can that it connects through the line of water, like along the Hudson River or something like that? There's always biking trails. And I was like, wow, that's a tough question for me to answer. So think of things outside of the box that someone may say, oh, I like to do this, or that you've had conversations with, let's say, other military families, and that will help you generate what you need for the social media content.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, let's see, on your participation guide, locate the post on social media activity. I don't know. Can we actually, Erin, pair people up with a partner? I don't know if,
I'm
because
not
it's
sure if we
through
have,
Zoom.
I mean, we can, but I think we could probably find an easier way to talk about the activity.
I think so too. I think that would be more like, I'd feel like it's bold. This is not bold right now.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So I hope that, first of all, I do hope that any of the stuff that we've talked about so far has been helpful. I know for some people, but there's a lot of other people who are on that we're not as verbal today. So I do hope that you get at least one thing, again, like I mentioned, from today. I'm going to, okay, when you're posting a lot, I'm going to go to page 29. When you're posting a lot on social media platforms, it is important to be very authentic. Okay. When you're authentic, people are drawn to you, as I mentioned before, and they get to know your true self. Don't be a jack of all trades with social media channels. Don't pretend you know everything. You want to focus on you, and you do want to come up, by the way, best idea I can give you is to come up with a social media content planner. Start writing ideas, look at a calendar, decide first how many days a week you want to post. If it's Monday through Friday, great. Monday through Friday, you're going to be posting. What time of the day are you going to be posting? Is it always going to be the same time? Or are you going to have different times on different days? Because in the beginning, you might want to actually test the waters to see where you get the most engagement. And then what day, let's say Monday is going to be real estate. What day is it going to be for parks and recs? Maybe. What day is it going to be about food? What day is it going to be a community event? So start creating ideas, and then the easiest way to really create a content is to not focus on looking for photos, which is what a lot of people do. They start going, well, what do I post? And they're not thinking, what do I write? They're thinking, what picture and what is it going to look like? Don't picture it, because it's a lot harder to have all of these images come into your head put together. Start putting together what it is that you want to focus on, and then underneath that, let's say Monday is real estate. You could have that real estate section could be considered open because it's all depending on when you sell a house or when you list a house. Let's just say that's what you want to do. You can leave that one open, but then the other one should be filled in. So let's say Tuesday is local eats. Tuesday, you should consider one day on a Tuesday. Maybe you're a family, maybe you want to bring your family to this and you guys can all order something different. And you could take a picture and talk about what you enjoyed the most about that. You could do a video about it, or when you're making that one trip at that bakery, if you go with your family and it's 4 of you or 5 of you, everyone could write down or talk about it. And you could be taking notes about what it is that they like the most about this chocolate croissant, let's just say. Take a picture of it before they eat it. And then you can use that picture. Let's say 4 people ordered something. It's 4 different dishes. Now you have 4 different photos for the same exact bakery. Now you covered okay, let's say you cover that bakery, 4 different photos. Okay, now you could spread that out through the 12-month plan that you have put together. So you don't want to do the same exact bakery every single Tuesday. Of course, you want to mix it up with something else, but now you can go back to these photos and use whatever you feel is better. If you wanted to do it focused on one specific thing. Let's say the next Tuesday you do a taco truck. People love mobile restaurants, let's say. So maybe that's what you want to do on the next Tuesday. And you go to a taco truck. Let's just say you go to an Oktoberfest event. Again, you could be out there with your friends and they happen to be a Oktoberfest taco truck there. And then they have, let's say, a pancake truck next door. You could take a picture on the same event that you're there. You could grab pictures from multiple different vendors and give them a shout out at the same time. What I would tell you to do is I would tell you to first, before you give them that shout out, make sure that you are also linked or you have added them. If they have a Facebook account and you're posting on Facebook, they should be tagged. If you are posting on Instagram, you should find their account on Instagram and then tag them so that they also see that you're acknowledging their business. And now anyone that goes to that person's website, let's just say it's a mobile bartending. And you went to a wedding and that mobile bartending and you went to this wedding, they had their information there, their business card, you add them onto your Instagram. And then of course, when you're at a wedding, everyone is at their finest point, right? Like you're dressed really proper and everything. You've got your makeup done. Maybe the guys don't have makeup on, that's up to them. And you take a picture right next to it. Well, you could take that same photo from a wedding that you had to go to. And now you could take that and give that business a shout out. And they're now tagged. So now when Joe Schmo is looking for a mobile bartending for the Labor Day weekend party that they're going to throw, your picture is going to come up automatically. So now because you tag them, it's your picture, they're tagged onto that. That's it. Now your information is also linked to them. So there's a lot of things that you can do on your social media platform to kind of like cross post. And a lot of that has to do with tagging, which is what Danielle said before. You know, if you respond to something on social media and you use the @ and you put that person's name, they're now tagged. So now they're seeing it faster. Do embrace video. Video is the big thing. Posts are nice, but it can be very overwhelming for some people. I would suggest that you consider doing 1 video a week. If you do hire a videographer, you can plan out your entire month of videos. Literally in 1 day. You could change your jacket. You could tie, your hair in a different way so you can change it up a little bit. You can go to a different desk. You could use different lighting in a different corner of that same place that you're going to be recording. So you can also get someone to help you plan that out and pay the videographer for 1 day. People use their cell phones too, so you don't have to hire anyone. If you want to take it to the next level, yeah, you could, but it all depends on what resources and what it is that you have planned out for your business. So if you need help, don't forget to ask for it. If you see someone that is doing well and you know that you can ask that question, especially from any of the KW offices, I feel like everyone is very, very much an open book. So if you do have a question about, hey, I was trying to do this and I just want to know what is your strategy for that, ask the question. The worst that could happen is that they say, no, I'm not sharing that information with you. And if they don't, they don't. At least you tried. Then you move on to the next person and you ask them the same question again. And I'm sure that you're going to get some answers from somebody. So don't be too shy to ask for help when you do need it. It's something that I have suffered through my whole life. I'm going to be honest. But it is important, and it's something I have been working on. When I do need help, I have been officially saying, you know what, I think I need help with this, and it's going to facilitate my life so much better if I did have that help, and I have to start acknowledging that. So yeah, you could be really tech savvy. You can have a coach with you. There's so many things you can do to really plan this out properly. You could even hire companies that do this, but really you have to really understand what it is that it's behind it, so that when you start planning it, everything is in place properly. So I'm going to go to page 30. We talked about the 10-5-1 so far. We've talked about social media strategies, how to add value, how to don't post and ghost, how to highlight your business, between everything that's going on, you know, pendings, under contract, solds, videos, Matterport tours, those kind of concepts that you can apply. I'm going to ask you if you had any further ahas, because that's what Ignite wants me to do. But I'm just going to give it a moment of silence. And if no one speaks, I will keep going. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a different question. How are you going to be accountable for your 10-5-1 system? Think about that for a second. How will you be accountable for your 10-5-1 system? How are you going to apply that onto your daily routines? When is that going to take place? Are you going to set a time block in the day? Are you a time blocking person? Or are you someone who just wants to carry the phone on them all day long? I used to do that and look at my phone a lot, and I realized time blocking is everything you need in your life, but never knew you needed it. So it's facilitated a lot of things for me. I've been able to put my phone down more. I've been more present in my family's life now than I ever have before, because I have been able to time block. My work hours are basically the minute I drop off my kids at school, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I get back home. It's between 8:10 and 8:15 normally. I literally come home, serve myself a cup of coffee, eat what I have to eat. And while I'm eating, that's when I check my social media for business information and purposes and commenting and things like that. And then after that, around 8:30, I give myself about 15 minutes for that. And then around 8:30, then I start reading my emails. If I hadn't read it in the morning already, that's when I usually start responding. I also would encourage you to schedule post if you can. It would be very helpful for you if you feel like, hey, you know what, I want to post. Instead of saying to yourself, I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day and I have the post ready to go and I have the picture and I know what I want to write. And holding yourself accountable for that 6 o'clock can be harder than saying at 11 o'clock at night the day before, you know what, I'm just going to schedule this post to be posted at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I know that I'm good to go. And this is going to be posted whether or not I wake up at 6 o'clock. If you schedule things, it makes it a lot easier. Also, if you're replying to emails, like when I start replying and checking my emails at 8:30 in the morning and I time block my day, sometimes with some people, not with everybody, with some people, I create an email. If they wrote me something and I'm responding to it, I actually don't hit send right away. I schedule that email to be sent at a certain time. You can do that with your KW emails because it's Google through, it's powered through Google. So it's Gmail is so easy to use that I don't think you could, I think you could do it on your cell phone. You could do like click on the little menu on the right and then go to schedule send. But I know that on the laptops and the computers, it's really easy to see. It's right next to the blue send button and has a little arrow. You click on that arrow, you should be able to schedule the send. And what I do with that is I do not send emails normally anything earlier than 9. So I send my emails as of 9 o'clock. I pick up my kids from school at 2 o'clock. So I tell people my work hours are 8:30 to 2 o'clock. That's when I work. That's when you can find me without kids screaming in the background. And if I have to show a house later in the day, I will show it, but just per appointment. However, you can reach me anytime between, let's say 8:30 or 9 o'clock and 2. That's what I tell people. So time blocking is really important. It allows other customers and clients to respect what you've got going on. Also, it keeps people from calling you in the middle of the night. I used to pick up phone calls at 9 o'clock at night all the time. I don't do that anymore. I just reply back and I say, my kids are trying to go to sleep. I cannot answer this call. Would you mind texting? And that's it. I have found that a lot of people have actually been very respectful of it. So again, time blocking and creating certain boundaries will be really important. I know this has nothing to do with social media. I'm just trying to give you guys some advice in regards to how you can actually hold that 10-5-1 system. I was referring to the time blocking, but you do want to consider, what are you going to do? Do you need an accountability partner? That's what you really need to ask yourself. Can you hold yourself accountable all by yourself, or do you need someone to help you hold that accountability? Because if that's the case, maybe there's someone on this video Zoom right now that may be able to help you. And you might want to, hey, send them a message directly on the chat and say, hey, would you like to be my accountability partner? I welcome that you guys reach out to each other directly. Or if you guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me and I can try to hook you up with someone. If I can't help, then that's fine. There's always going to be somebody that's willing to help.
And Joe Rubio says he's looking for someone. So if anybody is looking for an accountability partner, Joe is a great person to have with that. So
there you go. There you go. And you guys can all come up with, you could either, there's different things you could do to, ask the question, hey, what time are you going to be posting? When do you want to post? Okay, well, I think I want to post at this time. Well, I think that's too early for me. I think I want to try the evening. You don't have to be doing the same exact thing. You could have different plans. The accountability does not mean you have to follow the same exact structure. It just means that you're saying, hey, this is the question we both need to answer. What is the answer to this question? So that we know when we're starting. And what day are you going to begin that 10-5-4, 10-5-1? Is it going to start today? Or is it going to start tomorrow? Or are you a Monday person? And then that Monday turns into next Monday. And do you have a plan already? What is the plan? Do you want to make time to create a plan for that content? Or do you want to just start posting so that you have something going? And then as you go, create a better plan. Because some of us can plan all day long and then never execute. And let me tell you, my friends, the money is in execution, not in the planning. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Has anybody's thinking changed in regards to the we're in a Haas, yes. How has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets have been, maybe presented as new here? Think about it to yourself. What do you feel differently about now that you attended this class? And what was meaningful to you today? I enjoyed talking about the horses. I think that's an awesome idea. And I think the focusing on, for Erica, the military families is a nice niche. I think that's super cool. Very helpful for military families. And maybe being present, and just as a side note, going beyond social media, sometimes they do have like Army football games and they need vendor tables. That's something else that you can also do. Spin the wheel to, get a, I don't know, $25 Chow House gift certificate, and I'm sure that most people here won't understand what a Chow House is, but they will. Okay, so you got to talk that lingo too. Don't be afraid to use the lingo that military people do, where civilian people like me, that's what my sister calls me. She's like, oh, you civilians. So don't be afraid to, to use that lingo so that you can continue to be connecting with those clients that you're looking for. How will your behaviors be different going forward? How are you going to treat social media? What's going to change? When are your actions going to take place? What tools, models, or systems will you use? Are you going to stay with what you have? Are you going to keep Facebook because you're comfortable with it? Or are you going to venture out and actually try something new like Instagram? And how are you going to hold yourself accountable to that? I eventually had to. I mean, I started out in MySpace years ago. I wasn't posting anything in real estate then, but and then I said, I'll never get Facebook. Oh, that's so stupid. No, I'll never get Facebook. And then I got Facebook and I closed down my MySpace account. And then I said, oh, I'll never get Instagram. That's so stupid. And then I got Instagram. and I post on both. You know what? You have to shift. You have to go with the tides sometimes, even if you don't like it, and do whatever. And I do get a lot of engagement on Instagram. As much as I don't like Instagram, I'm still getting business from it. So you do what's right for your business. It's not always what you want to do as an individual, but it's to help you grow, and keep that in mind. Okay. Let's see. Joseph says he gets 11 p.m. text messages. That's interesting. 11 p.m. Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I probably get 11 p.m. text messages. When I first meet with clients, I tell them what they should expect from me. I say to them, look, I'm a mom of 3. I'm very busy. I'm a Girl Scout leader. You're going to find me on Mondays. I am out of commission after 4:30. You can't talk to me after 4:30 on Mondays. And my working hours are like 9 to 2. And if you send me a text message in the middle of the night and you're afraid to hit send, thinking, oh, I'm going to be disturbing her because she has little kids, you're not, because my phone is going to be on silent. And I'm only going to look at it if I really, really want to look at it. So don't be afraid. I tell people, don't be afraid to text me at 1 o'clock in the morning, but don't expect me to respond back till the next day. So again, it's all about setting your expectations when you meet with people. Remember to do 20 minutes of role play conversation with a partner. If anyone is interested in finding an accountability partner, please do send Joe a message directly. Joe, we're going to try to find you someone in addition, in case someone does not reply back to you. Between Aaron and myself, we're going to try to find you someone. Remember to do 10 minutes of preparing a call list for the day. Basically, when you're having breakfast, you should be planning out your day. I mean, you should see how many notepads of checklists I have. I literally wake up and I'm just like, this is what I need to do today. This is what I need to do today. And I write it all down, and it's like, I think Danielle Riggs called it a brain dump, or someone from your team once before had called it a brain dump. You know, when you wake up and you do that. And I started doing it, and it's actually really helpful. And I don't ever really cross out everything on my list. Sometimes things roll over, but it is really helpful. You should be doing 45 minutes of role play, 30 minutes updating your database every day, so that way it does not become too overwhelming. Those activities should become habits, and these are your habits for success. We practice them every day in Ignite, and you will continue this rhythm for the rest of your career. And we all know that for you, something to become a habit, you need, what is it, Erin, 21 days? I think
66.
Wow, it's 66. That's so long.
No, it gets that repetition. It just gets it ingrained in you. And at that point, you've put so much into it, you don't want to go backwards.
Yep. You start seeing the difference in not having that, right? At that point, you're like, okay, so I'm doing this every day, and I can see that my business is doing better. So once you get used to doing that and you follow those 66 days, that becomes a habit. That's always going to be what you're going to hear for the rest of your career. So another thing is, if you don't know where you're losing your time in a day, just follow yourself for a week and write down every 30 minutes what it is that you're doing, or what you did the 30 minutes before. That's something that was really helpful to me. I did that after taking, I think, a bold class. And they said, if you don't know how you're wasting your day, take a notebook and every 30 minutes, write what you accomplished in the past 30 minutes or once an hour or something like that. Just write down what you did the hour prior, like starting from the time you wake up, and do that a couple of days, and you'll start realizing how much time you're actually wasting, especially when you're someone who works from home. It can be really easy to get distracted with the laundry and the cleaning and things like that. So just make sure that you do what you need to do. We're going to move into our success system, time keeping in mind that, wait, what does it say? Daily success system tracker includes 10 conversations. Okay, I'm on 34, sorry. Your daily success system tracker includes 10 conversations with your sphere, people that you know, 10 contacts added to your database, name, phone number, address, any other additional information, 10 handwritten notes expressing gratitude or letting people know that you're in real estate and appreciate referrals. Utilize the 10-5-1 model for social media engagement and other enrichments. The 10 handwritten notes, I will tell you, are a really nice touch. Most people don't do handwritten notes. You just send a text message now. It works. Probably Danielle Riggs could talk a little bit about this, but it really works with the older folks, like she says, she tries to connect more with sellers, so she uses Facebook. That is a really nice touch for, let's say you had a conversation with someone and they told you that they didn't want to sell anytime soon. That's okay. They took the time to speak with you. Send them a thank you note and just say, hey, I appreciated you giving me the opportunity to speak with you in regards to selling your home. I'd love to have the opportunity to represent you when the time is right. And that's it. It just does not have to be a completely detailed, paragraph long kind of thing. You could really write 2 or 3 sentences and just send that in the mail. Put your 2 business cards, never one, always put 2 business cards in it, one for them and one for a friend. That's the way that I see it. Put it in the mail and they're going to be appreciative of that. They might actually save that card. A lot of people do save cards. So keep that in mind. You will be accomplishing many of these goals during your success system time. Keep doing these activities outside of class time or time together as well. During the final update time, you may also write notes and engage with social media if time allows. Okay. Any questions as we get started into the daily success systems? Okay. The first job of a real estate agent is lead generation, because the activity of generating leads is the foundation of your business. In addition, practicing conversations and dialogues will prepare you for success. That is, appointments, signed agreements, signed contracts, and sales closed. Of course, before we get involved in conversations with our sphere and lead generation, we must remember to comply with the TCPA and do not call regulations. Erin, I'll let you chime in on that one real quick. Are we allowed to do anything in regards to do not call? What is the
Well,
what is
we are
the
not
law?
allowed to cold call
Thank
still
you.
in New York State. So that is something very important to keep. It is still an executive order that we cannot cold call. And as far as calling people that you have a relationship with, make sure that you're checking the do not call and make sure that you are not calling anybody that has expressed that they don't want to be called.
People do keep in mind that people do add themselves on the do not call list every day. So it's possible that you may have access to a do not call list. And if someone called that very morning to add themselves to the do not call list, just so you know, don't be rude to them and just say, well, you're not on the do not call list. Keep in mind, you still want to keep a professional persona and just say, I apologize. You did not happen to be on my list. It's possible that my list might not be updated, and just thank them for their time. Let's see. So that's all about following the guidelines for calling. Now, Erin, how does that apply with texting? Because I know that there's a whole thing about calling.
Texting is considered calling as far as the executive order from the governor. So cold texting is not allowed either.
There you go. So texting someone if you have their number and you're soliciting is still not allowed. Okay. So just be very mindful of that. Best way to do anything at this point would probably be to engage with people with social media. That's why this is so important. Also, they're reaching out to you, you're engaging in content. Algorithm has you popping up and they're popping up on their end. So, all right. So, let's see, consider having group wide guidelines. Okay. Guidelines at the beginning of the capacity guide. In your guide, in your participant guide, there is the TCPA guidelines are there if you wanted to read them in full. Texting does fall under that guideline, like Erin said, so make sure that you are not in violation of that. You cannot dial. You cannot even do a robo dial where it goes straight into voicemail. That is also not allowed. So you can't get away with just saying, oh, but I left them a voicemail, it didn't ring. If you have any questions about that, or you have any creative thoughts behind that, reach out to your market center wherever you are. And then if someone in the office cannot answer that, then our attorney, which is Kristen Pilati, can answer those things for you. Your responsibility, you have a responsibility to subscribe to the registry for do not call list, which our office has already, has access to that. Erin, where could someone download a do not call list?
They're password protected, so you need to contact your market center. or someone
Okay.
in your market center for that, because they're password protected, not by us, but by the government.
Fair enough. Okay, that's good. Thank you for chiming in on that. Always check before you call a number. Again, we're not soliciting, but that is something that you want to make sure you're not in violation of. You have to honor the consumer's request and comply with state and federal laws. Let's see. You can get in a lot of trouble if you don't comply with things. So let's begin by getting our mindset primed for success. We do this as an affirmation. So there's a quote here that it says, I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. So I approach everything with a mentality that I can be resourceful for people and that they are happy to engage in that conversation with me. And that can be not necessarily in person, that actually applies a lot with what we're discussing with social media. So engaging for contribution is almost like what I was just talking about with Erica. You know, you supplying information for military families that they might seem helpful is the spirit of contribution. And when they see that and they're happy to see what your content is, you're helpful now for them, they want to create a relationship with you. And that's part of the law of attraction. So that's a really good quote to tie in with social media. Okay, you're going to refer to your participant guide and you're going to look for social media direct message options on page C11. So we're going to talk about, there are supposed to be 5 minutes set aside for you guys to spend preparing your conversations and practicing out loud to yourself. 5 minutes to pair up with a partner and then take turns leading the conversation until they can work without a prompt. So basically putting away your script, setting it aside, and just naturally going with a nice flow. Optional. You can video record each other practicing the conversations and then learn from them later. Now, obviously we're on Zoom, so we're not going to be doing that, but I do encourage you guys to spend some time to either look at some scripts, start practicing them. When you read things out loud, it's different than when you're thinking though. And you're also supposed to spend 10 minutes repeating those steps with the same partner. So basically it's what your accountability partner routine is supposed to be. You're supposed to go through scripts together. You're supposed to ask each other questions. One can be a client, one can be an agent. Go through that script and then switch the roles around. I want to take just a 60-second break real quick just to go get my water because I'm really thirsty and I forgot to get it.
I think we're just about finishing up.
Oh,
No?
That's the last page.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I'm really thirsty.
We are just about finishing up. Just if anybody has any ahas or last minute comments.
That's almost the last page. So I'm supposed to remind you that these kind of conversations are used in Ignite in your Sparks career book. Let's see. And then the last slide that I had here was prepare your conversations list. Your daily lead generation time should be consisting of 3 parts: preparing for that, taking the action, and maintaining that. That's like what we were talking about in the beginning, where it was like learning, implementing, and then mastery. It's almost the same, concept of that. And that's what you're prepping for your conversation list is really going to be. Okay. So when you're doing that role playing thing, you're going to determine how you're going to connect by preparing, what's this going to be about? What is the topic? What is the objection going to probably be? And then you're going to take action. You're going to talk to people through these conversations, and you're going to build relationships with people in your database when you start using and implementing all of this. And then the mastery and maintaining is really the mastery itself with your database. Once you have done this enough, you're going to realize that this is what's going to make you more successful. Like I'm at the point in my business where I don't spend money on marketing at all, 0 money. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't spend it. I'm just saying that right now where I am in a place where I have so much database that I can just work with that database, make the phone calls, engage with those people, just like I did with the restaurant that opened up, you know, past clients is like, hey, we go on date nights on Friday, 7:30, make a reservation for me. Sure, why not? You know, and it's like that person that I made a reservation for has her mother bought with me, her mother sold with me, her sister's looking to buy a house now. The brother's wife rented a house with me. I mean, it went on to a whole branch of family. I've been in their kids' birthday parties, baptisms, and it just continues to grow that way. And her whole family knows that if they need someone for real estate services, that I'm the person that they should go to. So those are things to keep in mind. So it's just maintaining that relationship, you know, not dropping the ball, and basically not ghosting your client. And it is hard, by the way. It's really hard when you do realize that you have ghosted people, to get yourself back. I think that's the biggest hurdle to overcome as an agent, to admit to yourself that maybe you dropped the ball and you were not in touch with that client. If you're ever not in touch with that client and you don't know where to start that conversation, just pick up the phone, call, and the first thing that comes out of your mouth should be like, hey, I realized I have not been in touch with you as much as I should, and I apologize for that. Now I'd like to continue where we left off, and, you know, talk to you a little bit about either they, whatever, you know, whatever's going on. But apologize, because it's going to make you feel better about that conversation afterwards. And then you can overcome that a little easier. So let's see, where were we? I think you said we were almost done, right? So the role play idea, we kind of already went through that role play conversation. You guys can do that activity with an accountability partner. And then, well, I had a few more pages, but no, that was it.
That's all I have. So.
Okay. Yeah, mine are like, just like, you know, the orange quotes and the ahas kind of thing. So, all right. So then we ended right on time.
Thank you so
Anyone want to
much.
give any ahas, anything? Is there anyone that has a question, any ahas you want to give, or any questions that maybe I left unanswered in regards to this topic? No. Okay. Cool beans. So, thank you,
you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you specifically for those who were engaged. And Joseph, did you get a accountability partner? Anyone message you directly so we know? Let me know. You can put it in the chat if you want. Okay, not yet. Okay, very good. So we're going to try to find you someone, okay? Very good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for attending today's class. I wish everyone
Thank
all the
you.
best. Again, my name is Julissa Amaro. I'm from the New City Market Center. If you guys need to reach me, or you have any other questions about any other ideas, anything like that you want, you know, my opinion on, feel free to reach out. You can Google me. It's really easy to find me. I pay a lot of money for that to be accessible. Okay. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye.